I cannot see you.
Take 2. I cannot see you. Take 3.
You'll have to go through this.
There we go.
All right. We're having another session of Denver Broncos only coach killers in the building and Denver Broncos Mile High View. And it looks like the coach killers in the building again was the opposing team. I'm going to start this off. I had to go and watch the video, the actual video, because I could only listen to it on the radio while you guys made a video. And I had to get caught up. And I'm going to say this right off the bat. I'm not going to eat crow, because in the film studies that I did with Kansas City and the Bills, I saw nothing that showed the uncharacteristic turnover machines and ignoring of receivers, the slipping through the hands. And I'll talk about these turnovers too. But I want to put this out here right away. I honestly believe, because I'm looking at the total of what we've seen this season, I honestly believe that these last 2 victories in particular are going to hurt this organization more than it's going to help this organization. I want to back this up just a little bit and ask you some honest questions. I ask this, the content creators are going to go completely berserk. You know, the Broncos came in already with the content creators saying that calling them things they weren't, or believing that they were something they're not. And that's really going to get even more exacerbated as this thing goes on. Now, let me ask you this. When the Denver Broncos were playing teams that weren't coughing the ball up like it was, like they were allergic to it, when they were playing teams that was hitting those open receivers, when they were playing teams that could still run the ball, all of it, what kind of a product did you get on the field?
You got a completely different product than what you saw last night.
You got the Miami Dolphin game, didn't you?
Correct. Yep.
You got the Miami Dolphin game. And this, let's just put this in the context too. You got this when it was the Broncos not coughing the ball up. This was the Broncos playing mistake-free football, right?
Correct.
Okay. So we know we do all know where this is going with content creators, fans that, are just drunk off of what they believe. That's why I'm not, and you're going to have Camera Rat. He's going to post that this is all Elway. And the only commonality of what we saw last night with Elway, the old Elway regime, was the porous defense. That was reminiscent of the old Elway regime. So anyway, I went and looked at the totality of what I was saying. And I'm going to say the positive things, but I'm also going to say this game comes with an asterisk. The Chiefs game comes with an asterisk, a large asterisk. Matter of fact, there's probably multiple asterisks. But I cannot give this team credit. Now, they went and celebrated like they just won the Super Bowl in the Bills locker room. That kind of is a problem too. But hey, when's the last time they won 3 games in a row? But here's another question I have for everybody out there. How many five turnovers is left in the tank? How many 12 men on the field is left in the tank for this season? Is Minnesota going to give up the ball 5 times? We'll talk about which give ups were legit versus ones that were just, giveaways. I think Troy Aikman said it right. He said it in the beginning of the 4th quarter. He said that the Bills are doing everything they can not to win the game. Do you think it would have been proper for the Denver Broncos? Let me ask you this question. This big party they had in the Bills locker room, would have been the proper thing to do to invite the Bills over and thank them for everything they did and that to help the Broncos out in that game? Yeah. So I cannot sit there and say I'm going to eat crow. But let's put the shoe on the other foot too. let's say the Denver Broncos came and turned the ball over 5 times and they got beat 80 to whatever. I would have to tell you, yes, the Denver Broncos sucked, but I would have to tell you, I can't gauge that game because it's uncharacteristic for the Broncos to give up 5. Even that situation, I'd have to say, what I have to see from the Denver Broncos is this. I have to see them play a game where the team isn't, first of all, destroying themselves without the help of the Broncos, and see how they react on a consistent basis off of that kind of football. This was really a crap game, honestly. I'll give the Broncos credit. They weren't making the mistakes. The Bills definitely deserve to lose. Excuse me. The Bills definitely deserve to lose that game, just like Kansas City. Kansas City earned their L, just like the Bills earned their L. But I'm not going to sit here and say it was all because of the Broncos. That's the problem with what's going on here. Now, this is where the Broncos are going to get really hurt by this, because the content creators are going to go off the chain. You know that. These players are going to be told things that's not true. They're going to be told they're a team they're not. And then eventually, like I said, how many 5-game turnovers are left in the tank? Eventually, what happened in the Green Bay game? They struggled in the Green Bay game because Green Bay wasn't turning the ball over left and right. And they say love is blind. Yeah, love is blind. He left a wide open running back that would have won the game for them. So, I have to see how this team acts consistently before I can sit here and eat crow or whatever it is that these fans and these content creators, whatever fantasy they're going to write about all this. I'm going to start off by saying that by going into this game, we saw McMillan on tape, and we were the first to say, "Man, you should check out this McMillan." Justin Simmons, PS2, McMillan, he's a rookie. No, check out this McMillan. I'm going to give the Broncos this one thing defensively. When I looked at the tape, I never paid close attention to Cook. They must have saw what I saw when right before the McMillan. They were going after Cook, man. They were going after him and rightly so. If you take a look at the way Cook was holding that ball right before the very first strip, I mean, he's running like this and I saw that right before the strip, and I'm like, what's this? And that guy just cannot. He doesn't have the natural cradling ability like our running backs, the Denver Broncos running backs have. I predict that guy's got more fumbles in his future, because I think that guy got exposed. So I'll give the Denver Broncos, they saw that, because they were out on that guy all night long for good reason. But I think that McMillan set the tone. I think he wired the Bills, because they let me ask people this: why would the Bills confidently win the toss and take the offense onto the field? Because of what we saw during the game, that when they actually didn't kill themselves, it was easy. It was easy scoring for that team. So anyway, I'll let you chime in here and comment on anything that I've said so far.
Well, there's two sides to every story, and I think that's what we've seen over the past 3 weeks. There's two sides to everything. Number one, I did a video last night with the Bubble Man, the great Bubble Man, and him and I were bringing up, and you had your opinions on it, but I really want to say this because, I have to be fair and truthful, and that's what I predicate myself and my channel on. There were points in the game, I went back and rewatched it. There were points in the game where they did go Pat Shurmur ball, but
I'll get into that.
But I really like the way that Sean Payton came up with a certain game plan for, I would say, 3.5 quarters of that game. And the one thing that I'm really impressed by is how he is using his running backs, all three of them.
Are you impressed that they actually started to listen to us?
Yeah. And again, that's what I was going to get into is they're basically running chopped liver, bubble man, and bucket man football. They're basically running what we've been pounding the table for 8 years. I would say the past 3 years, roughly, because we had Shermer and all that bullshit. 3.5, 4 years.
Well,
So
we never could understand why they abandoned the Rich Scangarello, but that's another subject.
Absolutely. And the way he's utilizing all three running backs is I'm very impressed. He's still, even when they're getting 2 to 3 yards of carry, he's still sticking to that running game. He's going up those A and B gaps with Michael P. Ryan and Javonte Williams. Again, I don't understand why they continue to run McLaughlin up the middle. He's more of an outside guy than an in between the tackles runner. That's my opinion on it. But again, that's the Denver Broncos' strengths is going straight ahead, straightforward running game. And another thing about Russell Wilson, they're doing exactly what we said. Russell Wilson is doing exactly what he did in Seattle. They're doing exactly what he did in Seattle. They're running the football, quick passing game, quick slants. The Jerry Jeudy slant in the slot, that's how you use Jerry Jeudy. Again, there's a caveat to that. They still try to go Shermer ball in those crucial moments that I completely don't understand.
That's where if you want to make the Elway connection that, they stuck to the Elway plan, that is the Elway plan. I'm going to get into that once you're done. You wrap up what you're saying.
And
go ahead.
There's a guy that I really want to talk about. I think could be more that receiving threat in the tight end game is number 85 that they just picked up. I thought he was open on a plethora of plays that Russell Wilson didn't see. And
I think Troy Aikman said something, and even whatchamacallit said he didn't see the guy was open.
Correct. So sorry.
There's some excavating going on, but go ahead.
So there's a double-edged sword to everything, but I am impressed from what I'm seeing from Sean Payton's game plans offensively the past 3 weeks. I have to give credit. And also you were bringing up how the Broncos are not turning the ball over on a consistent basis as they were. And I really like how Sean Payton has basically –
well, other than a fumble or something here and there, it's not.
Yeah, but it's not. They're not killing themselves. They're not shooting themselves in the foot with those
on a constant basis.
On a game basis with the turnovers. So I have to give Sean Payton and the coaching staff credit for that. Now Buffalo, number one, I'm done predicting games here moving forward because I don't trust the NFL and I don't trust these teams. Basically, what you saw yesterday with Buffalo is they played retarded football.
Let's be honest here. Let's be honest. That was uncharacteristic. Now,
they didn't watch the film. They didn't watch the film. I'm confident they didn't watch the film. They didn't take this game serious. And again, what did we say? What did we say going into the season, Chops Liver, when Sean Payton was hired? I said teams are going to have to come play defensively because Sean Payton can drop. He's a good offensive play caller, right? Correct?
He'll know how to utilize the players he's got.
Correct. And again, I have to give Sean Payton credit for that. But again, this is where I am concerned moving forward. What happened when Buffalo ran the football and they ran simplistic football?
Broncos had no answer.
They moved up and down the field with ease.
Broncos had no answer whatsoever.
No answer. They were running the football. They were pushing this front seven of the Denver Broncos up and down the field all night when they stuck to the running game. And then you saw the wheel route, which we'll talk about later, to Justin Simmons' side of the field.
Well, that was his man.
That was exactly. So, again, there's some good. But, again, I believe that when you look at the totality of the game, of the past, 2-3 games for the Denver Broncos, there's a lot more alarming signs that if you face a team that's not going to turn over the ball 5 times and that is simplistic and understands what they're going to do and the identity and what they're going to come up with offensively, defensively, then the Broncos are going to have a tougher time with a team that doesn't turn the ball over 5 times stupidly.
And that's we've seen that throughout the season. Yes. Yeah. What my question is to everybody. What happens in Kansas City if they don't give up the ball like they did, and Mahomes hits those receivers that he just didn't want to hit? It's a completely different game. Buffalo. What happens if Buffalo isn't shooting themselves in the foot every time they take the field? What happens when they're actually just executing? Simply executing.
And you saw what happened when they were executing offensively, when they were running the ball and they were playing smart football. You saw them having no problem offensively and defensively handling the Broncos. But again, when the Bills got away from what worked and did stupid shit and shot themselves in the foot, you just saw the totality of the game just fall on its head, in my opinion.
Yeah, exactly. These are the things that that's what this is. I'm sure this video won't get very many views because these are the things that people didn't want to watch the video with the Kansas City, any of the Kansas City, what was going on. People don't want to hear the truth. People don't want, because like I said, this team's getting set up, in my opinion. It came into the season believing things that just aren't true about itself. Things that they're not what they say they are. Now, I want to discuss this. When the Denver Broncos signed Russell Wilson, I went and did a film study. And I said, and I quote, I said, do not have this guy run around like a chicken with his head cut off. Don't predicate plays like that. If he has to ad-lib, once in a while, fine. But like you said, we said run and then quick throws. I said that at that time. And then when Nathaniel Hackett came, he tried to implement that. It was a game against Seattle. What we saw tonight, or what we saw last night with the Bills, is exactly what Nathaniel Hackett wanted to do. We saw that with the Seattle game. And we were saying this is what they got to do. And what did the Elway, let's go get into this, the Elway people at the front office, what did they tell Nathaniel Hackett? Shermer ball, didn't they? No. We hired Russell Wilson to run around like a chicken with his head and throw bombs all over the place. And Russell, you can have your office, you can have your own, all this stuff. It took them to hire Sean Payton, who, what did Sandy Clough say? The front office didn't want to listen to him. They hated the guy. They weren't, because he wasn't listening to their bullshit. I'm just saying, I am. They're doing exactly what we said to do last year. Going all the way back last year, in the beginning of this year, we said this is one of the stronger running back rooms in the NFL. We gave them accolades for that. We said they got power gap guys.
They have blocking tight ends. There's a reason why they went out and got Chris Manhurst. There's a reason why they went out and got Michael Burton. There's a reason, there's a reason for that. They wanted it. They're using Quinn Bailey on those extra tight ends, 12 personnel, heavy personnel sets.
Yes. So there's a reason why they're doing it. Now, what had happened in the game, and what I was glad to see, and even regardless of how another team plays, what's encouraging is that even Sean Payton seemed until the third quarter.
Correct.
I'm going to get into the third quarter.
Asterisks, yep.
An asterisk. He actually tied his own hands up because he isn't a run guy. He's a quick throw, run, quick throw, run. That's typically his, just, simplifying it. That's his mindset. So I really liked, again, that the Broncos offensively, begrudgingly to the front office, that camera rat who comments here, because they don't want that. They want take the top.
Who's camera rat?
Well, camera crow. I call him camera rat.
Oh, I don't really care who that is.
Yeah. So I'm just saying that there's, what I'm saying is that speaks for the front office. They think they still, it has to do with them. Everything that they were doing doesn't exist when they're handing the ball off and doing
and I can respect, you bring up the point where Sean Payton handcuffed himself personally. I can respect Sean Payton for that, because again, the asterisks after the third quarter, we saw a completely different offense. But For three and a half, 3/4, I can respect Sean Payton, and against the Chiefs game too, I can respect Sean Payton for at least begrudgingly handcuff himself and understand that you have a very solid three-headed monster in the running back room. You actually have Jerry Jeudy, who I believe is a better slot receiver than a go ball receiver, and you're utilizing that in certain aspects of your offense. I believe the best offensive player, the best receiver that you have is Marvin Mims. But again, they still try this.
I wanted to get into that too.
But again, you still try this trickery bullshit with him. It just some stupidity. Again, I just don't understand some of those play calls. Again, you run McMillan or McLaughlin up the middle. That makes no sense. You try to run this trickery bullshit. But when the Broncos were simplistic with the I formations, the heavy personnel, they had more success than 3 wide receiver sets going 20+ yards in the third after the third quarter.
Well, it was the third. It was actually the third. What did
I would say middle of the third. I would say middle.
Let me explain this. What happened? This will all make sense. So they did what we were just saying, working their way down, and then Wilson and Courtland Sutton made a spectacular play. They'll probably show all year long. I mean, the NFL will probably show all year long. It was a run around like a chicken, but it wasn't designed that way. He escaped. Buffalo was having a hell of a time trying to just nail him down behind the line of scrimmage. So he makes his Houdini, and he's got a history of that kind of thing. That's why they want them to design, but it doesn't work when they design it. Courtland Sutton made a Pro Bowl catch without a doubt. I mean, it was a thing of beauty. The whole thing was a thing of beauty. Now, what happened was they start getting. This is where the Elway mindset comes in. It was after that sequence, they thought what they were going to do, it was going to be the Courtland Sutton show. It was going to be the run around like a chicken with your head cut off, Courtland Sutton show, and it backfired on him. Courtland Sutton ends up fumbling the ball. Whatchamacallit, like you said in your other video, Russell Wilson ends up getting a sack. They went back to front office Elway football. They've got to settle themselves down for 4 quarters, not because there's going to come a time. This may come as a shock to people. There's going to come a time where the Broncos are going to play a team that doesn't make mistakes. And if they get into that Shermer ball after a spectacular play, it's going to cost them a game. I can guarantee you that.
Well, again, okay. Let's expand on that point. Let's specifically talk about Courtland Sutton, because Courtland Sutton is a John Elway guy. I get rid of him. But there is something to the effect of I believe he's a better red zone receiver than a consistent down per down receiver. I think he's more of that possession red zone type receiver that you can use in certain aspects in your offensive play calling when you're in the red zone. You saw that. I mean, he plays better when he's in the red zone than when he's playing down per down. I understand you're paying him all this money, so you got to stick him out there. But again, you're right. After that sequence in the red zone, you saw Courtland Sutton get full of himself, thinking he's a second coming of Rod Smith out there, and he's fumbling the ball. He's lazy on his routes. He doesn't know where the first down yard marker is. I saw that too. I agree with you on that. So again, it's they need to have a better consistent mindset instead of saying, okay, 3 quarters of football. Ooh, like they need to have a consistent 4 quarters of football in them instead of just. I would have respected the Broncos more offensively if they played 4 quarters of that football that we wanted to play, that we want. And I don't want any other fans out there and content creators taking credit for what we've said, saying that you guys said that all along. That's a lie, and that's bullshit.
No, they wanted to take the top off the defense, and they were saying how stupid we were to get for the type of what the offense are running right now. I do want to talk about the receivers. I want to talk about Broncos receivers.
Great.
Okay, well, they got to limit that, because they are not a greatest show on turf, number one. But the receivers they have, they need to start utilizing them correctly. Don't overuse them, number one. Don't overuse them. That's not their strength. Isn't, they're not Torrey Holt. It's not Torrey Holt out there. It's not the guy from
consistent separators.
They're not just. But what they need to do is get Marvin Mims worked in there correctly. Stop throwing so much to Cortland Sutton. You got to stop throwing to him all the time. Utilize Cortland Sutton at the right time. I'm fine with that. Maybe some of that workload should go to Mims. If you want to finally, get Mims out deep and take a shot, I can respect it if you, again, curb yourself and do it at the right time. Jerry Jeudy is a great slot guy, even though he'll tell you, he thinks he's Justin Jefferson. He's not. But you've got to limit them and use them correctly at the right time. Then they can be effective. That's what your receiver group is.
Well, okay. When you talk about, again, I don't like talking about receivers and skill position players because I just think it's a minute issue that needs that.
I don't think anything's minute, but go ahead. Go ahead. I don't think
I don't think receivers are that important unless
I think they're just as important as anybody else, but you got to know what you're doing with it.
But again, let me expand on that. The reason I say I don't think receivers are important, I don't think receivers are more important than an offensive line because if you have
nobody's more important. Number one, nobody's more important.
Okay? An offensive line is more important than anything else. If you don't have an offensive line out there chopped liver, then what are you going to do offensively?
Well, yeah, but if all you have is an offensive line, you don't have anything else. And there's teams that have that.
I'm just saying, I don't think your number one identity should be having great skill position players. I think
no. We're talking about a different thing. You're talking about.
I'm talking. I know, but I'm talking.
You're talking about constructing the team.
Yeah, construction of a team. So okay, I should have. Yes, construction of a team. I think you. Okay,
but going back, when you got all the parts, then you got something.
Yes. That's what I'm saying. But okay, these receivers for the Denver Broncos again. I believe, okay, guys like Brandon Johnson, Lil Humphrey, Marvin Mims, I think should be getting a more look on the receiving core because I see more out of them than I do Jeudy and Cortland Sutton consistently. I mean, yeah, Jeudy made some nice plays last night, but again, he wasn't consistent enough with it.
Well, I can't say, I still have to see the all 22. I have to see. I think they should be limited, personally. I think this group of receivers, this offense that they have, I think the receivers should be limited in their production of what they do and only use them at precise times that, after you've ran the ball, you've smashed them. We've seen some smash mouth by the offense.
What's the strength of the the Walmart Generals offensively? It's the tight ends and it's the running back room and then it's the power gap scheme, correct?
Three. Your three guys in the
three components offensively that are your strengths and you can lean heavily on. You have three running backs in that
leaning on it.
Yeah, lean on it, and you have a tight end group that can block. You have a fullback in Burton who can block. You could use that 12 personnel, run the football, quick passing game. That's what you need to do moving forward, not this Sean Payton or this Pat Shurmur-esque football. And again, I still want to ask the Walmart Generals this. They gotta teach these receivers how to get to the first down yard marker. I mean, I see that a lot over the past couple of years. They don't know how to consistently get to the first down yard marker.
Well, that's been their problem for a long time. They've always had that problem.
I'm just saying that's something that they need to address that because it's getting really old.
So offensively, I like what I see, but like I said. Defensively, there's McMillan. Oh, Cooper. Cooper gave their right tackle. They had their hands full with Cooper, and that guy was getting held. And I'm going to say this: I'm really getting fed up with the NFL across the board allowing the holding that's going on. Cooper, yep. They were just bear hugging him multiple times. The Broncos have gotten away with a lot of holding as well. They've got to knock it off. They've got to teach these guys how to play the position. And they're not doing it when they're allowed to do all these bear hugs all over the place.
Well, I'm getting tired of the NFL interfering on last-minute decisions. I mean, really? This is where I think the NFL comes in. That pass interference call was utter.
I'll talk about that, too.
That's a ticky-tack call.
It's not even ticky-tack. It shouldn't have been called.
Thank you. Okay, so I was right on that. Okay, thank you very much because
let me explain why. It's the contact. It's the pass interference by contact, and to understand why that wasn't a pass interference call, I want to talk about Justin Simmons' lollipop, his interception. What I want to see from my safety is I want to see him make a play on that receiver. I don't want him just sitting back there idly. He was about 10 yards back. And, he gets lucky that this guy doesn't catch the ball because I know it's like a post cross kind of he cleared the corners, and this guy's moving. If he catches that ball, there's no way Simmons is going to go from 0 to 60 and stop. That would have been a touchdown. I want my safety to make a play either on the ball, hitting the ball, or making a hard hit tackle, a timed tackle, a timed hit, legal hit, jarring the ball loose. Now, that's where you get your contact PIs come. They usually come when it's a timing of that collision. What happened is Wilson threw this, basically a Hail Mary is what it was. Judy had beat the corner. Now, if Judy was hitting stride, that would have been a walk-in touchdown. There's no doubt about it. We both know. But because that's the ball's hung up, it's basically an arm punt. If the contact rule is if the defender doesn't look back, because this is a jump ball, the second he looks back, he's an eligible receiver. Bubbleman was talking about this. He looks back. You always hear the announcer say he didn't look back. He didn't look, or used to. You don't hear him say that anymore. But the rule is if the corner looks back, because Judy had to slow down for the ball. This is basically no different than the end zone. The corner looked back and he's an eligible receiver. Essentially, the contact is incidental. It's incidental because A, it's an underthrown ball, and B, Cortland Sutton's slowing down. So you're not. What I brought up the Justin Simmons is you don't have that type of contact where you're trying to go through early contact is what I'm saying. It's an early contact rule is what they use. They PI'd and called it early contact. It was not early contact because it just wasn't even defensively set up that way. It was an arm punt. It's a Hail Mary, and both players had every right, and the contact was incidental.
Well, okay, but this is okay. But then when he threw that Hail Mary ball, the lollipop throw, the ball, the velocity of it stopped and it just started dropping down like this. Okay,
yeah, it's an arm punt.
Yes, but then Judy turns around and then the corner is just like this. He turned his head and is like that with it. And again, and that is considered okay. That's the problem I have with the crux of this whole thing. And then on top of that, let's go even further into that chopped liver. This is where I think the NFL paid the bills with the whole 12 men on the field.
I've had a pet peeve. I've had a pet peeve with the NFL and their PIs. Going all the way back to 2000, they're way too liberal with their PIs. This isn't anything unusual. It shouldn't be. I mean, the game was bad enough, really, to be honest.
It was terrible.
The game was bad enough. You didn't need an additional referee gift. Let them play the game.
Exactly. But again, okay. So I'm sorry to interrupt you. I'll let you finish. But the whole crux of it, this is where I think the NFL paid the bills off, where it was that field goal attempt where Lutz missed it, and they had time to not have 12 men on the field there. I mean, dude, they have all the time in the world to get 11 men on the field, but just out of the blue, they just leave them out there. As a coach here, that makes no sense from a logic standpoint. When you're
did anything the Bills do make any sense?
When they ran the football, like you said, you kept saying pass the ball. I said run the football.
Well, I'm listening to the radio, so yeah.
this, I kept saying they were blowing the Broncos.
Yes. And then when I saw this, I see exactly what, and that's just it. This game, it should have been an ass whooping of monumental proportion, because not only could they you can throw on this defense, which they did once they weren't dropping him, they could run at will on this defense. And they will, and again, Bronco content create the front office, the owner. I'm telling you, this win, these 2 wins are going to hurt them much more than it's going to help them. I'm telling you, because not every how many games are you going to?
Shot deliver. I don't trust any team in the NFL right now. I don't trust any. All 32 teams suck.
Oh, I agree. I'm agreeing. The Broncos literally could go to the Super Bowl this year if they hit every team.
Teams that beat themselves.
If they keep hitting teams beating themselves and get to the Super Bowl and play a team that beats itself, they'll win it all.
Yeah, they'll win it all.
They'll win it all. There's a bold prediction for you. Broncos in the Super Bowl.
If they keep playing teams that beat themselves, they'll win the Super Bowl.
They'll win the Super Bowl, yeah. But realistically, how many more games like that do they have? I mean, honestly.
I don't trust. Again, I'm not going to sit here and make predictions because I don't trust okay. The Bills and Chiefs clearly have better player personnel, and every time they face certain teams, they play better than when they play against the Broncos. We all can agree on that. On the All-22 film, it shows that, Chop Deliver. On the coaches' film. Why is it every time they play the Broncos, they play this backyard retarded football? It's like they get away from.
Well, I would say that the Chiefs and the Bills, particular, the Chiefs and the Bills, the games they lost, these teams didn't wasn't dropping all over the place and turn the ball over as much anywhere near what we.
That's an indictment on the Chiefs and Bills. And Chiefs and Bills, how dare you, man? Seriously. I mean, you want to consider yourself the class of the AFC? You're not even up there anymore.
No.
Class of the AFC, but again, I don't trust.
I don't see that. I don't see the Chiefs. I don't see the Chiefs. Yeah.
They can't get there. They can't get out of their own way. They're just like the Broncos. They can't get out of their own way when they face poor competition. I mean, you would think that a Bills team that lost to the Bengals would want to come out and kick the Broncos' ass. But again, we were wrong on that. I was wrong on giving the Bills that much credit because that's a bunch of bullshit.
Well, I was wrong because I didn't see it in the film. I didn't see it in the film. I can only go by what I see in the film.
Correct.
So you watch the Minnesota Vikings. Are they going to drop the ball 5 times in a row?
Well, there are weaknesses to the Vikings that the Broncos can exploit. And again, this is a Sunday night football game.
Okay, Minnesota, go ahead and give the ball. Let's see you give up the ball 6 times. How about you guys?
Any predictions, but from what I saw from the film, there are a few things that Minnesota does that I don't want to make any predictions because I don't know what Minnesota team we're going to get. So what I saw.
What can the Broncos exploit on Minnesota? We'll do a little Minnesota.
Defensively, the defensive line for Minnesota, you can run on them. I mean,
there you go.
New Orleans Saints was able to basically run that power gap scheme with Alvin Kamara, and they were getting chunk yardage. But every time the Saints went into passing mode, that's when the Vikings were able to get home in certain aspects of the defense. Brian Flores is the defensive coordinator for the Minnesota Vikings. You would think that Brian Flores has a bone to pick with the Broncos, especially John Elway, after that whole incident went down. So, yeah. But I don't know what Brian Flores we're going to get either. I mean, I don't trust these teams. There are points that when you look at the Vikings cornerback play, I was bringing this up in the voice messages I was doing last night when I was watching the film. They're very instinctual. So let's just say the Broncos do a bunch of bubble screens or whatever. They get there like that. They're very instinctual. Their play recognition is very instinctual. So you think that they're playing 8 to 10 yards off, that's not going to matter because they get there in a heartbeat. It's not like they're just going to wait for you to come to them. They'll come to you. So, again, there were aspects of the defense that they were playing man-to-man on certain sides of the field. But again, I just think that their instinctuality and their play recognition and how quick they are able to get there was a benefit for them. The Vikings offensively, I think that Alexander Mattison, the running back, has a lot of speed that could present the Broncos with some problems. I think he's going to be one of the more.
Does he fumble the ball over and over and over?
I did not see that. He actually holds the ball correctly. But what Alexander Mattison are we going to get next week? Seriously, or this week? Seriously, what Joshua Dobbs, man, he can't read the field very well. But the one thing that I have to give him credit for is he makes plays when there aren't plays there available. And what do I mean by that? Is extending plays. And he's a very fast quarterback. He can get out and he can make people miss. But again, the offensive line for the Minnesota Vikings, their interior sucks, but they have very good tackles. Christian Darrisaw from Virginia Tech, I liked coming out of the draft. Brian O'Neill is one of the better right tackles in the league. But, you know, you got Dalton Reisner in there. You got, he's regressed. Good job, Denver, for ruining a player. Garrett Bradbury is the center, and then number 67 for the Vikings is not a very good right guard either. So Justin Jefferson didn't play in this game, so I wonder if he's resting up to play in this game against the Broncos. If he's playing against the Broncos, you go to him all day long, and they also have T.J. Hawkinson, the tight end out of Iowa, and they do like to run a lot of play action, bootleg passes, and they like to use T.J. Hawkinson as a blocking tight end when they use a lot of those zone running outside runs.
Yeah, I mean, if this team doesn't make mistakes,
what team are you going to get? That's the crux.
Well, let's just say that the Minnesota Vikings play a mistake-free game. I'm not saying that
they'll beat Denver.
Well, I'll say that you're not going to see what you've been seeing through the last two games. I believe
I'm confident in Minnesota, like you said, if Minnesota doesn't turn the ball over and play stupid football, I'm confident they can beat Denver. I'm very confident because they have better player personnel and they have better player personnel, 53-man player personnel than the Broncos do. I can say that confidently.
So what but one thing the Broncos do have going for them, but will they stick to it? Is now that. Will they just stick to doing what offensively what they did against the Bills and what they did with the Chiefs, or are they going to try to do Shermer ball stuff? Again, you don't know which Bronco team's going to show up too. Are you 100% convinced? I mean, we like the trend, but are you 100% convinced they're not going to try to do what they pulled in that third quarter? We want to make it the Cortland Sutton show. Which Bronco team is going to show up too? So that's a question too. So
I mean, what are you going to get Sunday night? Are they going to go for the ratings and bullshit and ref ball? I mean, come on. Like to me, last night games was more of a ratings booster than anything. I understand both the games sucked in general, but I think it was trying to be a close game for ratings. That's all. That's what I think it was. I thought the game sucked last night. I wanted to turn it off at the third quarter because I was like, God, this game sucks. There's nothing good going on right now. I mean, shit.
No, not when one team is completely just shooting itself repeatedly in the foot. We saw that with Kansas City as well. So, again, like I said, what's going to happen this season if they start going on their losing trend again? Are they going to keep pointing back? But the Chiefs, but the Bills, but the Chiefs, and they just keep pointing to those like we did. It was those games. Well, we're going to look at Miami too. Miami didn't make any mistakes. They were hitting their receivers. They weren't dropping the football. They weren't fumbling.
The Bears for 3 quarters played mistake-free football, and then they started turning the ball over.
Yeah, then they turned the ball over exactly. So let's talk about the turnovers really quick. McMillan, absolutely.
That's one play. That's the one turnover I will give them credit for.
The defense should get a credit for that one. And, Josh Allen throws the interception he should have never threw. Now, I would have expected him to throw one of those, but not all the rest of it. Cook not holding the ball and stuff like this. Justin Simmons went and grabbed it. I'll give them credit for keying in on Cook. I'll give them credit for that. But the pass through the hands that he should have caught, he catches that ball, it's a touchdown. That is a touchdown all the way. Because Justice Simmons is no way, he's not playing the player. He's not playing his position. He's not going to go to 0-60 if Davis catches that ball. No. That would have been all she wrote.
That's not, yeah, no.
So he gets lucky with that one. Other than that, the defense, it looks like the same thing we've seen for going on 8 years. Looks exactly like that. I'm just saying that I'm not eating crow because I know that if they would have just not made mistakes and shot themselves in the foot, this would have been an easy game for the Bills.
Okay, timeout. Okay.
Same with Kansas City. It would have been an easy victory for Kansas City.
I think we should be getting the pat and the credit on our back here for actually watching the Broncos run chop, liver, bucket man, and bubble man football. They're actually doing what we said.
Well, I know. We won't get no.
No.
We're just taking the top off the offense, or everybody that wanted to take the top off the defense. Oh, we've been saying this all along. You didn't say that. You said take the top off the defense.
You Bronco content creators are so disingenuous, man. I'm sick of their shit. I'm sick of you guys stealing our talking points and then basically saying you've been saying it all along.
Well, they're going to sabotage.
Nowhere to be seen when this team actually plays like Walmart General Football.
Yeah, they're going to sabotage this team because they're going to start making stuff up that's not true. They're already doing it. They were doing it during the game.
Yeah, you were telling me that Dave Logan was saying on his own radio station, whatever, saying that, oh my God, the Broncos are causing all these turnovers. Really?
Yeah.
What game are you watching, dude?
Yeah, no. It was definitely self-inflicted wound.
And whoever's given, again, I got to say this.
The handoff, they couldn't even get a handoff.
If you're sitting up there saying, oh, I'm going to give this defense a passing grade, Right there, you're.
Well, go ahead. They're going to the Super Bowl, right? As long as the team can't get a handoff, right? They'll win the game.
Now, this defense doesn't get a passing grade for me. I don't give a fuck.
When I watched the film of the Bills, I did not see them muff a handoff.
When I watched the game again, when the Bills actually played simplistic, ran the ball, and
mistake-free.
And they hit Justin Simmons' side of the field, they were moving it with ease. There was
and also they were targeting the linebackers too. They were targeting
linebackers, and again, that they had no problem doing it when they were on their A game. But when they did the stupid crap, the retard football, they turned it over, head up their ass. Then that's when the Bills played like the Bills.
Well,
Simple.
Yeah.
There's no.
It was exactly what we saw, what we knew was going to happen. Yeah, it was exactly that. With an addition,
I didn't think that the Bills would play to that level, though. I was wrong about that. I'm not afraid to sit up here and say I was wrong about the Bills playing. I thought the Bills would actually come out with their season on the line on Monday Night Football at home, wanting to kick this team's ass because there was a lot of jawing and shit going on in that game. And Garrett Bowles, I have to say this about Garrett Bowles because he's really starting to piss me off. Garrett Bowles, if you ever come across this video, you are so lucky that the refs are in your pocket for letting you get away with so much clotheslining and holding calls. Same with you, Mike McFlinchie. You had an awful game last night. But I just want to say this to Garrett Bowles. The sheer fact that you're running towards the sideline of the Buffalo Bills and waving them goodbye, that's why every team in the NFL wants to kick your ass.
Well, I thought that was
supposedly, but yeah. If I'm a coach in the NFL, I want to kick the Broncos' ass because all the shit that they talk, the fan base.
You're really going to hear it now. That's what I'm saying. I'm saying that this is all going to come back and bite them in the ass because like I said, how many of these games in your schedule do you have in the tank? How many 15 people on the field 12 men on the field do you have in your tank? How many?
How much 5 turnover games are you going to continue to get?
Yeah, exactly. How many of those are you going to get left? So enjoy it while you got it, and they'll start listening to the content creators, the players. I bet you they won't have to feel they have to work that hard, and and then a team like say Minnesota comes in that they think they're going to walk all over and they get beat. Well, this is just it's just an anomaly. Don't pay attention to it. Then Cleveland comes in. They play mistake-free football.
Do you understand that we go to Detroit, baby? We go to Ford Field, man.
Then you go to Detroit. You got to play the happy to be there Chargers.
I'm just well, what Chargers team are we going to get? I mean, come on.
the five turnover Charger team.
What Minnesota team are we get? What Cleveland Brown? I'm not going to sit here confidently.
Which Bronco team are you going to get out there?
I understand that, but again, I'm not confident in predicting who's going to win moving forward because I don't know what team are we going to get? Because
I'm watching film. You know, I'm producing film. I'm watching film, and it everything I'm seeing on TV had nothing to do with the film I just watched.
I know.
So, it's not. I guess this is NFL today.
Yeah, it's sad.
Yeah. Well, I haven't got anything else. I'm not going to eat crow because there's still a lot. I just think this team. The thing I think would help this team is more reality checks of who they really are. That way you can get the process. You keep the good stuff that you have and start building off of it, and take and wipe out all this.
Instead of all the delusion and stuff. Yeah, I get it.
You tear down the stuff that needs to be torn down. That's really where I think these games really hurt this organization. The marketing department is not going to help this organization out, being told things that aren't true, being what they aren't. That's not going to help them out.
I just don't. Again, I just want this team to, go in a completely different direction still. I'm still not confident in the Denver Broncos doing this move. If they keep it, I would have felt more confident about this team if they put a full 4 quarters of good football together. Then I'd be like, all right, you know what? Good job, Denver. I would have given them.
It's like I told you, if the Broncos would have been the one that turned it over 5 times and shooting themselves in the foot, that would be uncharacteristic. I'd say I'd still have to wait.
Correct.
I'm not going to make that the definition of them.
Correct.
But they've got 2 games that, for whatever the reason, payoff or I don't know, however you want to define it, they had 2 teams play uncharacteristic football.
Yeah.
And it's what you're seeing isn't the full picture. You got to see what teams playing mistake-free football. I'm not saying that every play's a highlight by the other team. I'm just saying teams that are playing mistake-free, like Chicago did, like Green Bay basically did, for the most part, and they struggled with those teams. What is it? What is it we're really going to get over a consistent period of time throughout the season? And I got to say, the Miami isn't one of those games because the Denver Broncos played a mistake-free football. They didn't make any mistakes. They just got their ass handed to them because the other team connected on saw all the open receivers, hit the holes with the running game. They didn't turn the ball over, and you got what you got. To me, the Miami game is more realistic than these last 2 games. Just because the Broncos didn't make mistakes. Maybe they made some adjustments. That's fine. I can understand that. You tighten it up a little bit. Okay. But I think that Miami game more reflects reality than these last 2 games. I'll end with that. Is there anything else that you got on this?
No, just can't wait for Sunday Night Football to watch a good product on the field. So.
The Minnesota giving the ball away 5 times?
Yeah, probably. You know how, you don't know what team what team you're going to get from the Broncos or the Vikings. So,
well, I'm sure you're going to hear about how the Broncos are going to totally throttle the Vikings.
Yep. And at this point, Broncos are going to throttle the Vikings. I mean, they're going to go to the Super Bowl. They're going to go to the playoffs, the 2nd and the 3rd. I mean, we're always wrong. You guys are always right. So.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. They've been right.
Yeah.
They've been right. Well, it'll just come back. There'll be a reality check for them just down the road. They are who they are. The good parts of them, and also the bad parts. They are who they are.
The bad, I would say, this is where I fall on the line with you. I believe the bad outweighs the good in a lot of aspects of this team, and that's just the way I see it.
When
you break this organization apart, when you break this team apart, and when you watch the All-22 film, there's a lot of glaring holes on this team that a lot of the content creators don't realize and won't talk about. The only people that will talk about this is you, me, and Bubble Man. So
I mean, I really would like to see them get new tackles.
Oh my God, they suck.
And I would like to see them get an interior guy for the defense.
How about a good center? I mean, Jesus Christ, can we please get a good center?
Cushenberry had a horrible game. He had an absolute horrible game.
He's had a bad, in my personal opinion, he's
had a bad year.
He's Lloyd Cushenberry. He gets pushed. I just.
Yeah, I know.
You guys are right. We're always wrong. So
yeah. I guess we just have to wait till a team can come and not shoot themselves in the foot, and we'll see where the Broncos actually are.
Absolutely.
All right. Well, I'll leave it at that.
All right. Kirk out.